Hello, everybody. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to podcast number 3. We're
Yes,
really
number three,
number
not number
3.
two,
Yeah, we
not
were
number
really
zero.
confused a second ago. We had to talk about it. It's fine. It's whatever. Don't worry about it. We're really excited we have Stephanie on today.
Yay.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank
for
you.
having me.
Thank you. So, if you don't mind, you could start by telling everyone a little about you, what you do, all of that.
My name's Stephanie. Nice to meet you. I'm a full-time streamer and cosplayer, artist. I don't know what you call that anymore, but
Yeah,
entrepreneur, if you
Yes.
will.
fair.
I'm from Ohio. I like doing mainly more so video game cosplays, I think, but I do some anime stuff too.
Nice. So today we're gonna ask some questions, have a conversation, get to know Stephanie a little bit better for everyone. So our first question is, we know you've been focusing on streaming a lot more lately. How has it been going and what caused the change?
It's been going good. The biggest change was because of COVID.
Right.
Um, it's something that I'd been wanting to focus on for quite a while, but it would always get put on the back burner when I was like crunching for cons, and then I'd be away out of town and I couldn't stream because I was at cons. So cosplaying kind of took away from that goal for a while, and I was actually really excited to focus on it this year. But it's also been quite a challenge because I've been seeing people popping up left and right saying that they're starting to
Mhm.
stream, and it's awesome, but it's really saturating the platform. So it's been a struggle, but I just stick to my Monday through Friday schedule, and just gonna keep on trucking.
Yeah, nice.
Trucking along. What kind of games do you usually play when you do stream? Like, do you have certain games that you enjoy more than others, or do you kind of go by what the chat seems to want in the moment? Like, what do you do?
um, I like adventure, RPG, indie horror games. I don't typically play a lot of shooters or first person games because I get really bad motion sickness. Um, Sometimes I'm not quite sure what triggers it either because I've been able to play Genshin Impact, which has been a big game we've been
Mhm.
playing a lot on my stream lately, without getting too sick, unless I like eat right before stream or have a
Mm.
snack or something during stream,
Hmm.
then it might trigger it. But we tried playing Near recently, and I don't know what the difference is because they're both third person, but that triggered my motion sickness way more than Genshin does. I'm not sure why.
Huh.
But
I can see that because in Nier, I feel like you're zipping around a lot more. You're like dashing and jumping a lot. I don't know.
maybe it's because I mean, there are areas in Genshin where you're in close quarters, but it's very open. So maybe it's not as bad on Genshin. But I also like playing Hades, and we play some indie kind of games like Sally Face and Little Misfortune
Oh, nice.
and
Nice.
stuff like that.
Nice. That's interesting. I never thought that eating would cause motion sickness at your computer.
Yeah,
Like,
I think it can trigger it a little bit just because like I've got something in my stomach.
mhm.
Kind of
Right.
like if you're going on a roller coaster or something.
That's
Yeah.
fair. Yeah, that makes sense.
hmm I
Um,
get car sick, so I feel that.
mhm. And then we had a follow up with that, which is, has your taste in games changed over the years?
Um, I don't think so. I play a lot of different kind of stuff aside from the shooters
Hmm.
and certain
Mhm.
first person games. When I was younger, I played like Donkey Kong Country and Secret of Mana and not Spyro, Crash Bandicoot.
Yes.
I
Nice.
did have a Spyro demo on Crash, that's why I said Spyro. I used to play the demo because I didn't have the game.
That's
But
Oh, the mood.
no, I think I play a lot of similar games. Like even now, we'll still play like Kirby, and sometimes we'll play some old school games. We played Donkey Kong for a little bit, if I can find an emulator.
Nice. All right. So we know you're super skilled when it comes to cosplay and all of that. Can you show us a few of them and then explain about the time and effort that goes into hand making all of these things?
They look great.
Okay.
It's wild.
Yeah, it's wild. For
Hold
people who
on.
don't normally follow
I
Stephanie.
can't sew. Like, I can't even fix a hole in a shirt. So when I see cosplays like that, I'm just like mind blown.
Let me see if I can share my screen.
Hmm. Oh,
I don't know if that's gonna work.
Oh no, it doesn't
I
work.
don't know if that's gonna work. Unless I can make this work. It'll be
difficulties.
I
Oh,
don't know why you're two things now.
half and half
We'll go with that
until the.
until we're done. Or, whatever.
Oh, that stinks. Maybe if I turn my camera off, I can share my screen.
Try that. We're not in a rush, it's fine.
Chill, good vibes here.
Sorry, this is all done through Discord, so the
Yes.
boxes get a little crazy.
Anyone who will listen to this on Spotify later,
You'll
we're
be
currently
very confused about what's going on.
yeah, we're currently trying to look at cosplays.
Okay, maybe not.
Okay,
I don't know
we
how
tried.
to share with you, but
That's okay.
I could show you some props and talk a little bit about them. I have some stuff down here.
That works.
Yeah, whatever you want
Okay.
to do.
And we don't necessarily have to see them, right? We can just talk about
Okay.
it. But if you want to show
Yeah, we
anything,
can just
grab it.
talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No problem. Anyways,
Let's fill us in.
it's okay. We have social media and all that to do that.
Mhm.
But
Right.
yeah, I mean, explain kind of all of the stuff that goes into it and all the things that you do in your basement that no one knows you spend the time on.
Right. So there's quite a learning curve when it comes to cosplay as far as materials, what's best for what, different types of glue, different plastics and foams, and that's a big thing in itself. Just getting yourself familiar with the tools you're using and what works best for what situation. Something that I struggled a lot with, but I still I was gonna say I don't anymore, and I literally was struggling with it today. Is patterning.
Cool.
If I can, I'll usually project a character onto my wall in my basement and make them my height so that I can see like in proportion what size their weapon is. So I'm like really particular about that kind of stuff. So I think like colors and size of props, like if you don't get those things right, I feel like just something's off. So I'm really particular about colors and patterning for sizing. But anyways, that's how I do my sizes and patterns typically, but sometimes you run into a situation where you don't quite know what to do. I was patterning a sash today for Zagreus from the game Hades, and I struggled a little bit. But that's something that I will always struggle with, I think. I mean, I'll get a little bit better as time goes on, but I am not a big fan of sewing. So if I can, I'll find a piece that I can take in or modify, which I think is a really good idea if you're just starting out instead of straight tackling a full sewing project.
That makes sense.
Maybe find a piece at the thrift store that you could alter that would work for a certain costume. Um There's a lot of different. Okay, I'm trying to think of like when I'm doing like a foam armor. So I would start with the patterning, obviously, which I talked about, and then when you're cutting things, a big thing that I learned is the way you bevel edges can make a huge difference. Instead of like when I first started using foam and working with foam, I would just cut it. I'm like, okay, cut the foam, it seems pretty simple. But if you take the time and keep your blade sharp and just get a pack of like 100 blades, then you can cut your edges on a nice angle and it looks really nice and realistic as far as armor goes. So little things like that, learning to bevel edges. And then going through and like sanding, like I take a Dremel. Once I'm done cutting everything out, I'll go through and even further clean it up with a Dremel.
Mhm.
And then sealing foam, here's a good example. When I first started, I was like looking up ways to seal foam. One of the first ways I saw was Mod Podge because I had that at my house.
Mhm.
And it works. It's still a tool that I'll use, or a material that I'll use from time to time, but I've come to love Plasti Dip.
Really?
I think that's pretty common across the board for a lot of armor cosplayers.
Do you find that Plasti Dip's a little fragile when it comes to like rubbing on stuff?
I haven't,
Okay.
but I do a good amount of coats. Like you usually would do like 3 to 4 coats.
Okay. Fair enough.
It keeps the biggest appeal to it, I think, is that it doesn't crack. Like if you're traveling with it, which can be really tough, and you're like smushing your armor pieces in to a suitcase.
Mm-hmm.
When you pull them out, they're not cracked and crinkled, if that makes sense, because the Plasti Dip is very flexible.
Makes sense. Gotcha.
And then painting. A big thing I learned about painting is really it can be all the difference in the world. Like I've found that the little details that I focus so much on and spent so much time on aren't quite as important if you're really good at painting, if you can get those highlights and lowlights and create that dimension.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
So if I could suggest anything to a beginner cosplayer, would be to really hone in on that painting skill, because even if your product isn't the best, if you can create the dimension and the shadows and stuff like that, it from 5 feet away it could look really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Gotcha. It looks really nice either way,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Did you paint the thing behind you on the wall? The fox? Is that a fox?
Oh,
I like it.
the mask, that was one of my earlier cosplays. The mask is actually made by Misha Mock. She's got a store. She sells a couple different things in there, but that was actually made by her. But I did make the bow.
Oh.
The bow is made out of insulation foam. I couldn't think of what it was called for a second.
Nice.
Some foam.
Insulation foam wrapped in Warbla, which is a thermoplastic that you just heat up with a heat gun, and it will harden around the foam.
That's how that works.
I was
That's
really
a word I've heard a
able.
lot.
Yes. It's hard to heat it up evenly sometimes, but that's something that you figure out eventually.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really nice because I took like a butter knife and I was able to get all that wood detail, which you can't see, but if you were up close, you could see the wood detail that I just heated up and then like indented it all over.
That's smart.
Nice. What are your favorite cosplays you've done over the years?
If that's
If that's
you're
possible.
That is probably one of the most common questions I get, even just randomly from people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really hard because it's kind of like, I guess some people do know their favorites. Favorites are easy to pick for them, but they're never easy for me because I like different stuff for different reasons.
Yeah.
I feel like a couple costumes that I really liked were Toothless, Meta Knight. Those were both really fun armors, and they were original pieces. Like, sometimes I'll get cosplay ideas, like, for example, the cosplay queen, Jessica Negri, did the Kindred behind me. She did a cosplay very similar to that, and people will use those, what do you call, interpretations and do their own versions of it. But the Meta Knight and Toothless were my own concepts that I came up with, and it was really nice to be able to put that creativity into a costume. I feel like sometimes fitting the mold of something that you initially start with, like having to fit the mold, if something doesn't work out, you can't just like change. I mean, you could just change it and alter it, but having that just creative freedom to just change things as I go is really fun.
Yeah, I remember the
Super cool.
Toothless one. That one was great. I remember how excited you were about that one.
I love that one.
Mhm.
I also just feel like it's very my style. Like sometimes I'll like a character and I will want to cosplay it, but it's not particularly my style. And I felt like Toothless was kind of that punk emo kind of style.
Mhm.
Yes.
Nice.
I have a question about cosplay and conventions. Can you recall a time? I feel like there's probably 1,000 of these times, but when you're at a convention and it's like a con crunch, like you're still working on your cosplay, like in the hotel room, and it's kind of chaos.
I'm trying to think because very often I will crunch in my basement and I will not sleep all night. Like literally we left, I had just finished up packing and Matt's dad showed up to pick us up to take us to the airport. It was like really close, but usually I'm fortunate enough to not crunch in the hotel room, but there was one time where I didn't quite get my costume ready, and I think it was Star Guardian Misfortune. That was the first time that I wanted to try sewing a costume from scratch, and I told you I hate sewing.
Mhm.
Oh no.
So there were a lot of safety pins.
Oh my
And
goodness.
ultimately I'm pretty proud of myself for my skill level with that costume. But sometimes you'll make something and spend a lot of time on it and you still just don't like it that much.
Yeah.
So I'm proud considering it was the only thing I've ever sewn from scratch, but I wasn't super happy with it.
Mhm.
Like
Makes
you got it
sense.
done and you wore it and you're like, yes. You're like, all right, never doing that again.
Yeah, pretty much.
Gotcha. I know you listed a ton of these before, but do you have tips for people trying to get into cosplay?
Yeah, we did talk about a couple. Trying to think. That's such a broad question.
Yeah, it is a pretty broad question.
Don't go into it comparing yourself to like big cosplayers because there, like I said, there's a huge learning curve. Don't be afraid to buy something. You don't have to make everything. Um I found out that I don't like sewing, and if I have the opportunity to buy the costume, I like to make the props, but if you have the opportunity to buy the costume, just get it and then you can add in the details yourself. Like start small, start with like details, or maybe even find a character that has something you think you can tackle. Like, I mean, if you want to go balls to the wall and just do something epic, of course try it, but I think my fear for you is that you'll bite off a little bit more than you can chew. But I'm sure you'll take away things from it as well. But start small. I think the little victories and the little learning, like you won't ultimately get discouraged from cosplaying. I think if you start small. Like I think one of the first characters I did was Midna from Twilight Princess,
Oh.
and
Mhm.
she just had a bodysuit, so like of course I bought that.
Hmm.
And her big thing was her
Oh yeah, her
crown.
helmet thing.
I don't know what you call that.
Whatever that is.
But that was my first time working with foam, and it's like it's kind of nice to have one thing to focus on instead of having to make bracers and a weapon and a bunch of different props that you're not quite sure how to make. Like find a character with like one key thing that you can focus on and just put all your work into it.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
Hmm. Nice. All right. So leaving the cosplay talk. So I know I've known you for a really long time, and you're such an inspirational person with such a good attitude. But you've been growing so much on Twitch and social media over the past year or so. So do you have any advice for people who are trying to grow their network and their fan base?
Okay, I'm trying to think of what I did. So, something that I started, I don't quite do this anymore, but when you're trying to grow, I was posting every day. Like every day I would post. Use all of your hashtags. But make sure they're like think about it. Like I think that's one of the best things I can tell you is to just think about things a little bit more because like think about what you're hashtagging. Like would you look that up or do you think somebody else would look that up? Because if it's something so obscure, it's almost not quite worth hashtagging.
Mhm.
But at the same time, the goal for hashtags I feel is to not do something so obscure that nobody's ever going to look it up, but also you don't want to hashtag something that everybody's looking up. Like, I mean, I still probably hashtag from time to time cosplay, but like, how many things do you think are under the cosplay tag?
Hmm.
Most.
A ton. And especially when you don't have the audience already, you're going to be overshadowed by the people that are already getting all the views. So, like tag specific characters, like especially if you are quick to hop onto a trend, which is important. I think that's a good thing to do. Stay on top of trends, which I'm horrible at. But
You're doing a Hades cosplay.
that
That's
was just
trendy.
ironic, actually. I have to thank whoever suggested the game to me in my chat because they suggested the game to me, and then I loved the game, and I was like, I'm cosplaying him. But
This is happening.
um, yeah. So like for example, just hashtag like Zagreus cosplay because there's since it's kind of a relatively new game, there's probably quite not quite as many cosplays under that tag, if that makes sense. So like, don't use really generic tags, but don't use tags that are so obscure nobody will look at. You want that like sweet spot, and be mindful about the times that you're posting. For the audience you're trying to reach. Look for shout out pages, like cosplay pages that share. Um, Geotagging. I think that's one that people forget about.
That's something I would
Geotagging.
never think about.
Yeah.
Like at a con or just in other ways too.
Anywhere.
Anywhere. Just wherever you
Anywhere.
are.
Anywhere.
Like the other day, I think the last post I made on Instagram, I tagged Micro Center because I was talking about my PC build and I posted a picture of my parts. I'm like if it's a local place, I think it would do pretty well.
Mhm.
True.
Um, when did you jump into Twitch fully jump in? I don't really remember, but was that weird when you made the jump into like really committing to streaming all the time?
I don't think it was weird. I probably the line keeps getting blurred because I would just do it really casually
Mhm.
for a good while. I think like probably a year and a half to 2 years ago I started getting pretty consistent.
Hmm.
But I've been streaming for a while. Like 3, 4. I think probably even my first stream was like 5 years ago or so. I was like still living with my parents. It was a long time
Huh.
ago. I didn't even jump onto Twitch with the intent of like being super serious about it. I just
Mhm.
like wanted to chat with people and I wanted to have people to talk with while I was working on my costumes.
Hmm.
I didn't have any overlays or anything. It was basically just like this.
So was that the original goal? Was to like stream you sitting and actually making the cosplays?
Um, I don't think there was an original
That's
goal.
fair.
It was
Just
just
doing
like
it.
Just
I want to
talking.
chat with people when I'm bored. I want to like make friends and
Yeah.
find people that also like to cosplay or play games. I think one of the first games that I streamed was Skyrim.
Hmm.
Uh yeah, Elder
Classic.
Scrolls. And yeah.
Nice.
Is there like a difference between your fan base is probably it's larger now. Was there a difference that you can pinpoint, like working with a larger fan base or like a smaller one?
Um trying to think about that question.
Like I remember when we first met, I mean, honestly, you have so many followers now. It's like probably like 10,000 followers on Instagram. Now you have like 100,000. And I remember you're like just on Patreon and you weren't really doing much on Twitch, and now you're on everything.
Yeah, that's something that I meant to mention earlier is for people trying to grow
Mhm.
is to everybody has their preferred platforms. Some people like Twitter, some people like Twitch, some people like YouTube. That's why I'm not as consistent on everything as I'd like to be, but I'm on every platform, which I think is
Mhm.
almost every platform, which is important. But the difference, I guess, is which is another reason that I like to stream is like being able to connect with people because that's something that I really like to do. I really like to be the person that tells people you can accomplish something when there's so many people that tell you, "Oh, you're never going to do that. You can't do that." Like how are you going to do that? Like I don't know. There's so many people that are going to put you down and I want to be that person that can help inspire somebody or make somebody's day a little bit better.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And I can't private message people on Instagram anymore or I'll lose my mind. I used to talk with a lot of random people all the time on Instagram, but I think that's a big difference. I've kind of stopped talking to people that I haven't previously had like family and friends and closer people. I'll still message them on Instagram, but I don't if it's important, I just stick to email and if you want to like chat or discuss anything, it's typically done on Twitch.
Hmm.
So that gets harder as you grow. I definitely like obviously the goal is to eventually one day get partnered on Twitch, which would be really incredible. It would be a big milestone, but there is a point that I feel which I don't quite know what that would be.
Mhm.
But I see some of these big streamers like Pokimane and like Amaranth.
Mhm.
And in a way, I don't know if I'd ever want to get to that point. Which it's not like there's probably a line where it's out of your control. Like, I don't know if you end up in some sort of Twitch drama or a Twitch fail. Like, some people
Right.
don't choose to pop off.
D-
It just
mhm.
happens.
Yeah.
And,
Do you feel like you'd have more of a
but
disconnect from the people at that point? Is that why?
yeah. It's just like I see their chats and it's just like emojis and like really surface things. Like you
Hmm.
can't have a good discussion. I mean, I could pretty much go on about a lot of different subjects on my own, but I like hearing from other people and what's going on with other people and, you can't do that as much when you get to that point.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. Is the time management crazy now in terms of having a bunch of people reaching out to you? Do you get a lot more opportunities now too, in terms of partnering with people, things like that?
I've had some good opportunities. I think that they're very random. It's not like a consistent thing, but some of the opportunities that I've been excited to have are guesting at my local Cleveland conventions and guesting in Saudi Arabia, which was really, really random. It
Yeah,
was an
how was that?
experience.
How was that? That sounds
Um,
awesome.
Everybody told me not to go just because they were nervous. Obviously it's a foreign country, and I don't know, going anywhere you've never been, and I don't know, you just have to be careful. But I did my research. I was actually looking up like how safe the city was and stuff like that.
Right.
And there was a list of like safest cities like numbered.
Mhm.
And Chicago and Atlanta are like some of the most dangerous cities. Like
Wow,
I've
what a
been in some of the most
coincidence.
dangerous
Right.
cities, and Riyadh was like way safer than a good amount of cities I've been in, and that
Absolutely.
made me feel a lot more comfortable about it.
That's really funny. Did you
But
say that on purpose, or was that just what popped in your head? Where me and Nina are both from Chicago and Atlanta.
oh, are you really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I knew this is bad here, but
Be careful out there,
That's
man.
funny. You
No
come,
way, that's so
you
funny.
come to Atlanta all the time. You go to Dragon
And
Con every year.
Boston, Detroit, yeah, there's a lot of different cities that can be not that safe, but it's all about like, I don't know. I think you can't like live your life in fear. Obviously be smart about things. Like don't go walking down an alley with like a dead cell phone and like $100 falling out of
Yeah.
your pocket. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
be like gold like don't be wearing like Michael Kors. Like I don't you know what I mean? Just don't be
Yeah.
stupid.
Mhm.
But yeah, buddy system. Um but yeah, going on about the other things were working with Henchman Studios. They're so incredible. If you don't know who Henchman Studios is, please look them up. They work with a lot of companies, like bigger gaming companies, to bring like the cosplay characters to these events, like
Ooh.
specifically for that gaming company. They created aliens for Destroy All Humans. There was like a
Oh my god.
Nice.
what do you call that? Where they like relaunch it for a system? Is there a term for that?
Someone in chat will know what the term is for that.
I don't know why I'm
Relaunch.
blanking.
I am too.
That's okay.
Because
We
they
got
did
it.
it with like Secret of Mana on the PS4. I know
Yeah.
that. And like
Yeah.
Donkey Kong and stuff like that.
Reboot.
A reboot.
Remastered.
Remastered.
Remastered. I think
Remaster
that's
makes
it.
more sense.
Thank
But-
you,
Make
chat.
it look a little better.
I got to be an alien at E3 and it was really cool. That's probably top thing on my list of things that I was able to do.
Nice.
Sounds so fun.
But it wasn't. I'm not gonna lie. like always, anything on Instagram, anything on social media, like people will sugarcoat things and everything looks better online, but that was tough. Like being in that costume, like it was like a mascot kind of costume and it was really, really hot. We had to go outside and dance.
Oh no.
And like, oh, I have pictures of like I had a tank top on and it was just like sweat. It was really rough, but I would have done it over again, you know?
Nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're just random opportunities. I'm not like very very sought after or anything, but I do get cool opportunities now and again.
Nice.
What's it like being a guest at a con? like I've seen guests at cons and I've been to cons, but what is it like being an actual guest? I guess you have your featured panels, maybe. I haven't really been-
Basically, you usually will get a booth. Sometimes, depending,
Mhm.
you will host some panels or co-host some panels, judge a
Mhm.
cosplay contest, maybe.
Mhm.
I think I was really nervous to do panels, but now that I've hosted and co-hosted a couple, I really like helping discuss cosplay or even Twitch. That was my most recent one, was a Twitch, talking about Twitch and stuff.
Mhm.
But I wish I was better at public speaking.
I think you're
That's
doing
Yeah,
great
you're
something
right now.
fine.
I need to work on.
You're fine.
But it's fun. It's really cool. And it's really like humbling when people like come to you and they're like, "Oh, I love this and that. Like, how do you do that?" And they can just pick your brain. Give me 1 second. My headset just died.
Oh no.
No problem.
Rip headset.
Yeah. Rip headset. What just happened? Did you just
don't
like pop a battery in?
Maybe.
That's okay. That's exactly one of my fears because I went into this podcast with my headset runs on triple A's and I'm on like day 6 and I'm like, oh, okay, this might happen. Did you plug it in or did you like put a battery in?
This is the particular reason that I wanted this headset, along with the fact that it's just a very nice headset. It's got like a charging port for the battery. Like when you change the battery out, there's two. When one dies, you just put the other one
Oh.
into charge, so that way like your headset never dies.
Oh, nice.
That sounds like a good setup.
Yeah, you didn't even have to take it off.
Magic.
Mhm.
We're truly living in the future.
Okay, so piggybacking on before when I told you you're inspirational. So, you've talked about this with me in the past, but how do you cope with the negativity online? And then do you kind of have advice for other people when it comes to that and getting bigger and the things people do and say?
This is a good question. So, I think my cosplay journey was also kind of a self-love journey, because when I started cosplay, I was a very insecure person and I've just blossomed over the years. But I'm a lot more
Blossom.
comfortable with myself, and I think that's something that you should really work on, especially if you just honestly, if you just want to be a happy person, but
Yeah.
also like if you plan on growing on Twitch or TikTok or Instagram, if you want to be a cosplayer or whatever you want to do, if you're going to be in the spotlight for any reason, you need to learn how to grow a thicker skin. Um I was just talking about this a few days ago or the other day, I can't remember, on my Twitch, that I posted a TikTok, and quite honestly, I think probably 8 out of 10 comments were negative.
Mm.
Oh,
But maybe it's not quite that much, but it just felt like that.
yeah.
But just don't take things personally, especially when you click on their profile and they are a meme account or have no friends, no followers, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's
Right.
obviously somebody that shouldn't matter. The people that should
Mhm.
matter, whose opinions are, close friends and family. And that's
Yeah.
about it. Um, what I do nowadays, because I'm at a point where I have figured out how to troll the trolls,
Hmm.
is I'm just piggybacking off of their negativity and using it to boost my TikToks. So, a
Yes.
good way to
The finesse.
respond to trolls is be very surface, very vague, and like don't give them something quite to respond to, but be like sarcastic back to them. Because the second that they know they hurt your feelings or got to you, that's what they want. That's literally the sole reason that they commented on your post.
Mhm.
So if you can't respond without being sarcastic and just like laughing it off,
Mhm.
just don't respond at all or delete the comment. That's all it takes. Don't harp on it. It's easier said than done, but I think the more you do it, the easier it'll become, just like anything else. It's a skill, just like learning how to cosplay or learning how to program or anything like that for that matter.
Mhm.
But it can be used in your favor if you harness the wisdom.
Makes
Harness the
sense.
harness the trolls. Their energy.
Mhm. But yeah, to contrast, do you have any stories about wholesome, supportive fans that you have?
Sorry, I clicked the wrong push to talk button.
Oop.
Um, me, Dad. um, yeah, I got to meet a lot of my moderators at a local convention, which was really, really fun.
That's
We did a
awesome.
little
That's
meetup,
great.
and it was so, so cool to see these people that I've grown to love and who have had my back in my channel for so long. And it was really nice to hang out with them for the weekend.
Nice.
Um, and then for some random reason, this comes to mind. There was somebody that followed me who I haven't actually heard from in a while, but they like soldered wood. I think it was a hobby maybe, but they sent me a soldered piece of wood with my dry bones cosplay on it, and it was probably like one of the cutest, most memorable things because I don't feel like I was like super established at that point quite yet, and it
Mhm.
just meant a lot to me to see that kind of support from somebody.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But there's tons of people that have like come to see me at conventions and stuff, and it's always humbling and wholesome.
Right.
But those were a few of the moments that I think stood out to me in
Hmm.
particular.
Nice. I- Is that something you've seen more of? Like knowing more people online, getting more opportunities to meet them in person, since you do travel a lot.
Yes. I'm trying to think. It was actually kind of strange because I knew like Kate Sarkisian for a good while before I met her in person. It's so weird to meet like other cosplayers and people in person when you like that's why I get so nervous meeting people is because in a way you kind of like set this expectation or not an expectation, but you have an idea of who this person is. But like you don't know socially. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I get nervous. I don't ever want to not be who people think I am.
Huh.
I totally get that.
So I was like so nervous when I did that meetup I was talking about with my moderators.
Mhm.
I was like my body like shut down. I was like hiding my face. Like I was so nervous to meet everybody. But of course after a couple minutes, I loosened
Yeah.
up, but I was just so nervous.
Hmm.
I get that way too. I totally understand. Like even before episodes of the podcast, I'm just like, oh my god, oh my god, what am
Yeah,
I gonna
like
do?
before Nina met you today, she's like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "Don't worry about it."
I don't know why our brains do these things
Mhm.
because you just like psych yourself out. This is totally random and very weird, but yesterday I was going through stuff and throwing things away and I was like, how can we tell if these batteries are still good? He's like, stick it to your tongue and if it like shocks you, it's good. And I was like, what? I was like, I don't want to do it. I was like, I'm so scared. And he did it and he was like, you have to do it now. And he's like, you have to do it. And I literally was like, I psyched myself out so bad that like I was almost in tears. And then he did it and I was literally like, "Oh." Like why do we psych ourselves out? We need to not
No.
overthink things.
Hmm. Exactly.
It's like, brain, please. I'm trying to live. Please.
Mm-hmm. So final question. What are your goals? What are your goals for your brand going forwards? Mm-hmm.
So a big step I've obviously taken, which I've talked to you about, is focusing on Twitch. I'd really like to focus a lot on Twitch right now until further notice because of COVID.
Mhm.
And I've restructured my Patreon now so that I'm going to be doing costumes kind of more on my own terms. The main support is for Twitch, which you can also just subscribe on Twitch if you don't want to be on Patreon, but
Mhm.
focusing on Twitch, and I'll still be doing cosplays, but they'll be more naturally inspired.
Mhm.
Like when I feel like I want to do a cosplay, kind of like Zagreus. That'll be one that I
Yes.
do. And I'm still gonna keep posting on Instagram and stuff, but I also am kind of refocusing on TikTok a little bit more. I've just seen a lot more growth and promise on TikTok recently. I know some people like it and some people don't. That's why I say, always stay on different platforms.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I'd
Yeah,
like to get
TikTok's super
partnered.
popular.
That's about
Do you
the biggest goal I'm looking at right now.
do you think
Mhm.
you're gonna go as hard on the cosplay back when everything finally opens up again, or balance it a little more with Twitch?
I'd like to maintain the balance because I am a little nervous because of
Mhm.
how hype everything's going to be when people can go to things now, like
Mm-hmm.
in the
Right.
future, when people can get back to concerts and conventions, and I just feel like the energy is going to be insane. And I think I'm probably going to get swept into that. I think because it's been a while since I've done a big, like an armor, definitely at some point I will be inspired. Like I mentioned this I think the other day in my chat too, how because we read in the beginning of my chat, we read a couple pages out of this book, and it's for like motivation, inspiration kind of thing.
I love that.
And I remember I was sitting on my couch for a good while, like out of commission. And then when I was finally able to do a cosplay again, like not being able to do anything,
Mhm.
like, and then finally being able to do it, I was just like, I just know I'm gonna get that energy. That was the energy I had with Toothless.
Mm-hmm.
I was like so ready to do it. So I think I'll probably get back into a good armor, but I don't think it'll be like 2019. I was actually looking through my highlights section on Instagram. If you want to see some of my cosplays, you can look there. I
Mm-hmm.
post a lot of my cosplays in that section. But a lot of them were dated 2019, and I was like, holy crap, I did so much in 2019.
But that was like when you really started growing really fast too, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
you're gaining like every month like 10,000 followers. I mean, it's crazy.
Hard work definitely pays off. But it's also important, I'm sorry, as a creative to know your limits for sure, because you will burn out if you don't. Like, if you love something enough, don't ever give up on it. But also, I just keep saying this lately, like ride the waves. Like, you know yourself better than anyone else. Some of you may not be like me, but I'll definitely go through waves where I'm like really high and I have a lot of energy and I'm really motivated, and then I'll have some days where I like can barely get my chores done. If that makes sense, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think you just need to know yourself and know when to have that me time. And because if you don't give yourself that time to recover, you're gonna just have this underlying stress all the way across the board. So ride the waves when you have that energy, drink coffee and just do everything,
Yes.
and then know when you need to step back. But don't pace yourself, you know?
Mm-hmm. Makes
hard
sense.
to get, like, if you burn yourself out, to get back up. So yeah, definitely very important to pace yourself.
Mhm.
In there.
This year was kind of a blessing in disguise as well financially because as hard as I was going with all the costumes in 2019 and as many conventions as I was making it out to, I had racked up quite a bit of debt on my credit cards.
Ah,
So
yes.
I was able to concentrate on that this year, which was a very important thing for me because I wonder what would have happened if I wasn't able to, if I was swept up by the hype and kept going to cons in 2021, if I would have been able to catch myself, check myself before I wrecked myself.
Yeah.
But it all worked out, and I'm glad that I got my finances cleared and squared away this year. So I'll be ready for sure to go to tons of cons when they open back up and make all of the costumes.
Yeah, that's just ready for next year or this year.
Yeah. Oh god,
Like,
it's
yeah, I keep
2021.
forgetting what year it is. Awesome. Well, do you have any closing thoughts for everybody? Any Stephanie words of wisdom?
Don't give up on something you love, and give yourself the same kind of don't be so hard on yourself. Like, treat yourself as you would want somebody else to treat you. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, sometimes we overlook our feelings and we're too hard on ourselves. I think we just need to show ourselves some love and pace ourselves and don't give up.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, that's
Was that good?
yeah, that's good. That's just how you are. You're a really inspirational person. That's why I brought you on.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm. All right. Well, thank you for coming on today.
Yeah, thanks,
Um,
Stephanie.
Thank you for thinking of me. I'm really
mhm.
happy to be
Oh
here.
yeah, no, there's no way I wasn't gonna bring you on. I'm gonna put up this ending screen with some of your socials, but if you could, since we're a podcast also on Spotify, if you could just tell everyone what socials you want them to know about, how they can follow you.
So,
So the main social medias that I use would be Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, and lastly, kind of YouTube. I've been slacking off a little bit on YouTube, but I like to post. Well, it's probably because I haven't been going anywhere, but I like to post a lot of vlog type of content on my YouTube, and now and again I'll do Twitch highlight clips from all the funny stuff that happened on stream. So you can check those out. SuteRoozu.
Mm-hmm. You should follow the YouTube. I've been following your YouTube since you started posting. I like your recap videos.
I have so much fun with that. Honestly, that's just something, as much as it is for content, I think it's something just for me too, because I have so much fun. This is what I love to do, and it's so nice to be able to go back and look at those memories. It's like modern day scrapbooking.
it
Like
is.
like talking about that meetup I had with my mods. It's like a lot of it is on video. It's the Ohio Con vlog,
Mm-hmm.
the most recent Ohio Con vlog, I believe. So if you want to
Nice.
see me be a nervous Nelly and meeting my mods, you can.
Nice.
But yeah,
Awesome. Well, I guess yeah, there's Alex. So yeah, thanks for coming on. Um, I guess I'm just gonna rate us out, but thank you everyone for watching. And
Yeah,
definitely
thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. Thanks, Stephanie, for coming. Thank you to chat. Anyone from Stephanie's channel, thanks for coming. Everyone else, also, thanks for coming.
Yep, yeah, thank you. Goodbye everybody.
Bye.
Bye.